Pantoufleee! Hello everyone, Pantoufleee here today for a new in-shop video concerning the bundle, which is composed of three different tanks, the FV201, the AC4 Sentinel, and the Excelsior. Here we are going to focus mainly on the FV201, simply because out of all the bundles, the only one that is really worth it is probably this one, simply because let's say that the Excelsior is a bad tank for tier 5 and that this AC4 Sentinel is doing worse than the Cromwell B overall. Let's say that overall the Cromwell B does everything the AC4 Sentinel does, but better. So you would rather have the Cromwell B than the Sentinel. So that's why I decided to focus only on the AV201, because if you want to buy the Steel Watch bundle, that's for the AV201 and not the others. So there are several things you need to understand about this tank. Overall, this tank is a worse Black Prince in terms of armor, but a better Black Prince in terms of mobility, so it's a choice. It's all about choosing the right options if you would rather have some armor, some extra armor, or some extra mobility. Now, what do you need to understand? Let's first talk about the armor. Overall, if you're facing tier 6, they are going to bounce the upper part of your armor. If you're facing tier 7s, some of them will bounce, some others will not. I mean, if you are facing tier 7 powerful tanks, like for example the Stur Emil, they're gonna penetrate like it's butter. Of course, as you can see, it's a little angled, so if you go on a slope or on a ridgeline, mountain, etc., you can try to actually increase your armor there and therefore make everything at tier 7 bounce. And if you're facing tier 8s, everybody's gonna go through like it's butter. Same for the sides, same for the rear. The rear is extremely weak to HE shells, so be aware of that. But the main point about the FV201 armor profile is probably its turret, simply because you have a huge gun mantlet, and that's where all the fun is. You still need to be aware that this little slope here on the top of the turret is penetrable, especially from tier 7 and tier 8s that are using gold shells, so be aware that even if you are in a down position, they can penetrate, except because yes, there is a way for you to bounce everything, except if you are on a hill and therefore angling this part even more. Because if, for example, you're in front of a rock, the rock is hiding everything, but you're on flat terrain. Therefore, here it's not going to be angled enough for people to bounce. But if you are on a mountain and you use your gun depression, which is great on this tank, but we're going to talk about it later, you are going to be able to bounce everything. And if you do, this tank can become an all-down king. And if you combine this with the great DPM it has, it can be quite deadly. Now, enough talk about the armor, let's talk about the gun, which is to me one of the best guns with the one you have on the Black Prince at tier 7, because they share quite the same one. 2.9 seconds of aiming time, 0.31 gun dispersion, and just look at the DPM, 2.9k. This tank is a DPM beast, 3.2 seconds of reload. If you see the gun like this, you understand one thing: you need to aim at tracks, because with this tank you can perma-track pretty much everything you're gonna encounter, and you're gonna see in the replays that are coming, because yes, today it's not live battles, I didn't have time for that, I had to use some replays, I already did. So, for the average penetration, good as well, because the penetration with AP is quite nice, and if you switch to APCRs, you will not struggle to penetrate either tier 7, tier 6, or tier 8, so it's a cool thing. For 160 alpha damage for regular shells, and 135 with APCRs. For the gun elevation and depression, 8 degrees of gun depression, and that's where your turret armor is impressive, because I told you, you have a good gun depression. If you manage to use all your 8 degrees of gun depression by putting yourself in a position that allows you to hold down, your turret can become impenetrable, simply because it's going to artificially increase the armor by angling. And that's exactly what you need to do if you're facing tier 8 or tier 7s, for example. Now that we talked about that, maybe the traverse speed. The traverse speed is average on this tank, especially the turret. The turret, 43 degrees per second is good. You have nearly 37 degrees per second with the hull, which is quite average. And for the mobility, I told you, instead of going to 20-25 kilometers like the Black Prince, here you will go around 31 to 32 kilometers per hour, which is enough to take advanced position, but not at the beginning of the game. But at least it allows you to follow your team in case you go on the wrong side side, you can come back, even if it's gonna take you some time, so be aware that you still need to know where you're going. Overall, that's it for the FV201. If we sum up, you have an amazing DPM, well, you know what, an amazing gun in general, bad armor, and a good turret armor only if you angle it, or only if you're facing tier 6 and tier 7s. One thing I forgot to show you, probably the equipments. So real quick, yeah, you know what, first the munitions. I'm not playing with HE because your penetration with HE sucks and you're nearly never gonna use them. So I go 41 AP and 33 APCRs, and I know some people have OCD, so you know what, I'm gonna go for 40 and 34, so people are pleased with odd numbers. And now for the equipments, I go first for the gun rammer, simply because my DPM is already great, so why not improving it. After, I go for the enhanced gun laying drive to reduce my aiming time, and I go for both vertical stabilizer and enhanced gun laying drive, because I told you, you reload really fast, and as you reload really fast, you need to have a good aiming time, at least an aiming time that is faster than your current reload speed. After, I go for the defense system because I'm not gonna ram anybody, improved assembly because my armor doesn't allow me, even if I strengthen it, to bounce a lot, and the toolbox because enhanced track is useless. Finally, improved optics because I don't want a camo, I'm not gonna camp. Improved controls to increase a little bit my all traverse speed. I think it's better than going for the mobility, because for the 1 km/h you gain, it's more efficient to go for the improved control. And finally, I end consumables, so when I use adrenaline, I can fire hell to my opponents. So now for the first replay, we are playing top tier, and there is a difference of playstyle when you're playing top tier and when you're playing bottom tier, and I'm glad we have 2 replays for you to understand that. So when you're top tier, you can play aggressively. That's why I decided to go on the right. I was expecting the whole enemy team to go on the right, and I know that I'm alone. If you check the map, as you can see, my team is decided to go in the town, but it's not a problem for me. I mean, I have 2.9k DPM. I can hold a flank composed of tier 6 tank quite easily, especially if I drop out the adrenaline. But all of a sudden I decided, yeah, you know what, I'm gonna come back, simply because it seems like the whole enemy team decided to go in the town as well. So here we go, we sneak the first shot, the second one, and here we are gonna unleash the hell into this SU-100Y. I mean, just look at this amazing DPM when you drop the adrenaline. You can literally destroy everything that is in front of you. Unfortunately, I was spotted, and I know there is 2 SU-100Y. I did not want it to take 1k damage in less than 10 seconds, so I decided to drop off, and instead focusing on that Firefly. I tried to get a shot in its tracks, but I did not manage to. It's not a problem, he's nearly a one-shot and he will probably die, so we focus on something else. It's all about the DPM with this tank. For the moment, I could go in the town helping my team, because if you take a closer look, they have their whole enemy team in the town, and we only have 4 people in the town as well. So if they decided to push, we would have lost all these 4 guys. But as they don't push and they are quite shy in terms of playstyle, I can stay here and sneak my shots. That's what we did, and now we only have to go in straight. I'm gonna use my gun depression to probably kill the SU-100Y here, but yeah, I'm gonna start to play aggressively right now. Before I didn't do that simply because I had shots, so why should I move if I can have my shots? But now that I don't have shots anymore, I need to play aggressively. I go for a first shot on the LTTB trying to track him, and here you're gonna see the perma tracking. I try to get the tracks of the LTTB, we managed to get it, he repairs, we go again for the tracks, double tracks, and 3.2 seconds of reload. This LTTB is not gonna go anywhere else before dying. And that's exactly what you want to try with the FV201. That's a technique that works great. When you try and you manage to permatrack people, they are not going to move anymore. And if you do that when they are, for example, in an open field, they are all at your mercy. So try this. It's a really good technique, because it will allow you to destroy everything and to allow your team to also destroy them by doing some spotting damage in the process. Alright, now we go for the second game, bottom tier this time, and here you need to play it a little bit carefully. I mean, if you go straight in with an FV, knowing that I told you during the armor profile that the tank is extremely weak to tier 8s, you don't want to go in straight. If you do that, you are gonna die. So we need to play it sneaky. to do that, we go with our team on the open field, simply because from the open field I can use my gun depression and therefore make my turret a lot stronger than it's actually. But it seems like they went in the tower. Panther sneaked a shot, a second shot, simply because here I'm not hiding my my actual armor, especially the hull. And if you don't manage to hide that hull, you're gonna get penetrated. Can we maybe sneak a shot on the M6 XP when he goes by? Yes, we can. We sneak a shot on the Smash as well. It seems like the guy shot but missed us, which is a good thing. I decided to go in, I go there, I try to use my gun depression. I don't think that the Panther can shoot me, and he did not decide to shoot me anyway, so we're safe. And now I have a choice. It's either I go alone middle, I rush and I see what happens, I come back on the right and help my team, or I go on the left and circle. I don't have the mobility to circle, I don't want to go alone to the middle because I'm bottom tier, so I decided to come back to help my team. Lucky for me, the charioteer tried an hash shell that resulted in a splash damage only, simply because hash shells can go through tracks. So we're good for the moment. I go with my main troops, which is composed of the SU and the XP. I'm gonna try to help them. I remind you that I have 2.9k DPM, so I can be rather useful even if I'm bottom tier. And I also have the penetration. If I switch to gold, no problem penetrating. So here we go. We tried to sneak a shot on the XP. Unfortunately, it didn't work. The ISU tried to do whatever and died in the process. Now we need to be careful because we are 2 versus 3. So I see also that the XP seems to be not a bot, but he doesn't really know how to angle his tank, or he's taking way too much risks. So I thought, okay, they are gonna push me. I know they are gonna push me. So instead of trying to help the XP, I'm gonna go back, because if I stay with him, I'm gonna die. I told you, you need to play carefully, and that's what we're doing. I go back, I'm in a 1 versus 3 situation, because all the rest of my team is on the other side, and I'm waiting for them to pop. Luckily for us, the XP is pushing the RHM. He missed us. I go in because I really want to kill the RHM before going further. I managed to sneak a shot, and now I go back. I see that my adrenaline is coming back, and I'm going to use it on the kind of an Action 10. I know I have a better, maybe not a better DPM than him, but I have a better reload time, and that's all that matters when we have such low HP rate. Here, the kind of an Action 10 was 5 shots for me, and I managed to get him. Now I only have to deal with the XP, and what I'm doing here is I'm gonna try to side hug the guy. If I side hug the guy, he's gonna be able to shoot only at my turret. Can we maybe kill it? No, we can't, but at least we didn't die in the process, and we managed to get out of a 1 versus 3 situation against 3 tier 8s. That's how you want to play your FV. Always try to privilege your DPM if you can, and play it carefully if you're bottom tier, and aggressively if you're top tier. I hope you enjoyed the review. If that's the case, feel free to subscribe, like and share, and I'm gonna see you soon for a new video and probably a new stream. See ya, guys.